Hi folks, well here we go. We're going to do the Deer Abbey thing real quick. I got to read this to you. I'm from East Central Kansas. I'm asking your opinion on Reatas. I've heard you talk a little about them in your videos. I think I'm correct in thinking that a Reata is used differently than, say, like a team roper's rope. Captain Obvious. That takes the hard jerk, where the Reata is more of a finesse tool. All right, what that means is team ropers dally on rubber and there's no give because they're in a timed event. Reatas are wrapped around mule hide and they slide because they're not in a timed event and you don't break the Reata. In searching the internet and looking at different products, I see some that are braided rawhide, some that are twisted. Twisted means literally they twist them to make them. And I don't like them. The main reason is that they'll chew a mule hide up in a month if you're doctoring a lot because of the twist, as opposed to the four flat braid. The other one is it'll take the hair off the legs of a critter that you're roping. They're pretty abrasive. I see Reatas with rawhide hondus and steel ring hondus. Okay. The rawhide hondu. This is a rawhide hondu. However, it's separate from the Reata. All right, this is a braided hondu in a Reata. That's what it looks like. Okay, that's nothing we use. Right now you need to understand the one with the rings in them and the ones that are braided back are from the south, as in below Mexico City typically. And these, if we use them up here, they elongate and then they start to twist themselves. So they're not any good. And the ring one comes all the way down from South America if it's a ring about this big around. Now remember, they have their own culture, their own style. I'm telling you about what I use and what I like. All right. Most of these are ranging from 48 feet to 63 feet, give or take. Mine run between 60 and 65 average. Prices vary from $195 to $675. My made, done, finished Reatas, ready to go rope with, are $700. There are a bunch on eBay for $195 a piece. Get what you paid for. And are all braided rawhide with rawhide hondas that are in the 58 to 63 foot range. What are the differences in your mind in this variety and range of length, styles, and prices? I know I'm asking for a Reata tutorial. Any opinions and or comments are welcome. Well, you all know me. I've got plenty of opinions. Okay. This is what's called a green Reata. It has not been pulled. When you throw a Reata out, you'll notice that the coils stay coiled. It's like a slinky. That's because it hasn't been pulled. It's a green Reata. It's not ready to use. What you'll also find is that the people that are selling them are just selling what they call Reatas, who their grandfather had to tell them that's what it was. They don't know anything about them. They're just selling them. So now you got one that's done. This Reata I've had over a year. It's finished. Okay, so now you throw it out and it lays flat, just like a good broke-in rope. This is an actual good broke-in Reata. All right. Now, the difference between them, you can see the braids on this one, and you can see the braids on this one. This one is smooth, this one is not smooth. It's very rough. Okay, if you try to use this, all you do is burn up the mule hide on your saddle horn. This one, I've been roping with it about a year, and so it's smooth from one end to the other because of sliding rope. So I personally use these, and I've got a video on pulling a Reata. If you really want to get one, look up the video, and it's all about putting on sable, which is kidney fat, and it has to be done when it's at least 100 plus degrees. So where you live dictates reality. And that's how I pull them. They're heated up through the sun, and then I pull them through the hardwood, mesquite or oak. This one's been pulled. This one has never been pulled. So it needs to be processed and made to be able to use it. People get discouraged buying Reatas because they don't work. Well, it's not that they don't work, it's just that they haven't been prepared. So, the moral of the story is, to me, there's a Reata and there's a Reata. Today, if you turn on a country music station, you're not sure that you actually have a country music station. It is a country music station. However, if you don't know the last names of Hank, 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 and Hank, then you've never heard country music. When George Strait quits, the world is over. All Reatas, I'm not going to say all, but most Reatas have a splice in them somewhere. And the Sonoran Reatas that I get, it's hard to tell where they are. I can tell you this is a splice right here. Now, unless you're feeling it, you can't tell. But what they'll do is they'll roll this across the face of an anvil and tap on it with a pretty good hammer and get it to round out so that it doesn't have a big bump in it. If you can see the big bumps in them, they're not made very well. And to rope with a Reata, it's designed for the loops that I teach, which are the California loops. There's about 20 of them. Okay, it's designed to swing, which reminds me, if you hold your loop out with a Reata and it hangs like this, it's ready. If it coils up and springs back up into your hand, it is not ready. So the Reata is thrown not hard and fast like team roping. It's thrown slower, smoother to keep the loop open. The thing that I've learned about a Reata is that the tip always wants to come back. And because of the way they're braided and the way they're designed, I'll show you what I mean. That's why we can throw these really nice long heel shots. The rope is always going to have a bend in it. This one's been a year, so it's a slight bend. But when you get a good one, it's going to bend like this. So when you throw it, the tip comes back underneath the legs like you want. And it'll set a trap because the tip's always coming back to you. That's one of the, what I'm trying to say is that the loops that I teach, non-team roping, are keeping a tradition alive, and the Reata is designed for them. You can use a poly, they got like 800 different kinds of ropes now. I don't know them all at all, but the point is they were designed for La Reata. Okay, if you buy a Reata from made in America, made by a buckaroo, for example, they make an absolute beautiful Reata. Okay, if it's the individual that made it that's selling it, it's very important that you say, excuse me, but would you please explain to me what I need to do to prepare it to use it? And then he will tell you sentences that I don't know, because I don't make them. But they make them and they know how to break them in, and they'll tell you. So the moral is to buy them from somebody that you trust and you know they made it. Now this Reata is going to Ellensburg this summer to my friend Park, and it'll last him a really long time. There's that bend I'm talking about in the tip. That's what actually makes the Reata do what it wants to do. So American-made Reatas are an absolute art form. They're beautiful. Just make sure you follow up on what to do with them. All the ones that you see on the internet, I'm sure you've ordered a nice coat and you end up with a pair of socks. So, sorry. I hope that helps. And yes, you do have to slide them. If you dally this hard, you'll break it. So you need to slide rope. If you can't slide rope, don't throw a Reata. You'll have two of them. Goodbye.
And now
oh, and now, I forgot to mention, we finally made it to the water line on the Navajo Res. Our friend from north of Gallup showed us in a video a water line being put in along the highway headed towards Window Rock of all places. Imagine that. Okay, that's the good news. They went by the communities and didn't put in a T. So there is a fitting. If you'll just saunter up to the ditch, folks, and look down and see how deep it is, or lower one of your children and know how tall they are, you'll know how deep the ditch is. So when everybody's done and they're gone, you dig down and you put a collar around that main. And that collar bolts on, and then you can literally screw in a fitting in a high pressure main and get your water. You didn't hear it from me, but I'm just telling you, it can be done. And the other thing I forgot to tell you about. Yes, I wanted to give you a little trivia because everybody likes to hear history. So I'm going to turn the tables. If anybody can tell me the connection between the Sandwich Islands and the Oahe Desert, I would really love to hear it. So stay tuned. Adios.
Is that all? Okay. That's a wrap.
It's a wrap.